Hello and welcome to another episode of My Opinion Means Nothing. This week on the show, I am joined by my very, very good friend, Ben.
Hi.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
How you been? Like, just for podcast purposes, how you been, man?
For podcast purposes,
Yeah.
I'm really good. Yeah. It's like everything's going really well.
Oh, that's good to hear, man. Like, for those that don't know, right, I met Ben, at Thorpe Park. It was, like, not long after I graduated. It was, like, my first summer job, properly. And, like, me and Ben had the best job in the world. We got to scare people and got paid for it.
Yeah. Got to hide behind dark corners and jump out at people for money.
What you don't know, people at home, is the government pay people. No, I'm kidding. Like, it was in like a scare maze. Thorpe Park, they do Fright Nights. I was in a scare maze called Asylum. And
I was in the one that was based off the film. I think it was My Bloody Valentine. Oh no, it was the one. I can't exactly.
Cabin in the Woods.
There was another one in Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
My one was like about a miner, and it was like this miner was out on a rampage, killing people in a mining town. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the whole maze was like based about like it going into like a mine, and like we'd have like boiler suits on and gas masks and pickaxes.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah.
I remember that time when I went through your tunnel and like, because I knew everyone there, they gave me a different treatment that they gave to the guests. It was.
So we couldn't touch the guests,
No,
but
we could. So, for the first topic on the show is what's happening in the world. I like to talk about the news because I find it really, really interesting and absolutely hilarious sometimes. Some of the, what they call the headlines that they give are just bananas.
absolutely.
And it's just like, sometimes I believe, like, I thought that I never used to be interested in the news, you know, when I was younger. But, like, as I've got older, it just seems like the news is so wild that it's like, how could this be happening? Like, when you read a title, when I read a title and I'm like, this happened? Mm-hmm. And I click on it, I was like, whoa. So let's go for.
I'll say a point about that, because what's coming to my mind is that I've been hearing a lot of people say like this is like the death throes of the news, because like the news as we know it, like tabloid news and like newspapers, it's like a dying media. So, and what's coming up is like podcasts and YouTube videos and blogs, and so all of that, like this new form of media, and people heading this. They don't like the old tabloid news and like TV news is like doing whatever it can to kind of grab your attention, and it's becoming like a spectacle.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. Like, a lot of the last guest that I had on the show, Dean, he was saying that he doesn't read any news. He gets all of his news from Twitter and like social media. And I mean, not that that's bad or anything like that, but for me, it's just like, it's crazy that people would rather get their news from social media than from the tabloid or the broadsheet that would we would usually go to them to find out the news, or we'd go to BBC News to find out what's going on in the world, but people would rather just go on Twitter and just be like, well, what's trending?
Yeah. But it's like, you're using a platform that you're already familiar with to get new information, and it's kind of what I always find, if you're going to get the news, you're best off getting like 5 different versions of the same story and making your own opinion on that, like using your own sort of kind of like.
I mean, I guess it has broadened it out, so there's more out there, and like more can, like things like Twitter, people can post absolutely anything. And like, if enough people see it, doesn't matter how fast you take it down. That's been seen now.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of what there's no filter for it either. So anyone can say anything, and if enough people believe it, it becomes news.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of there's no filter. It's like a bullshit filter.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
It's nothing to tell what's real news and what's fake news. We just have to take it all in one, and we're just like, well, I guess this kind of sounds believable. I guess I will go with this, but then they're saying that, so how?
You tend to I think you tend to gravitate to the story that already kind of like fits with your already held beliefs.
Yeah.
So say like, for example, if you were say like, for example, Brexit, if you already thought we should leave, if you're already in that kind of group or of that kind of
bubble,
thinking, in that bubble, when there's a story that comes out, there's different sides to each of that story, you're more likely to sort of maybe go with the side that supports your already held belief. So like you're going with what you already kind of hold to be true, rather than kind of questioning everything.
It's a lot of kind of group thought, as opposed to I have an idea and I'm going to go with my idea. I generally believe what they're saying. I guess we should group together, and we should. I guess people find safety in numbers, obviously. So I understand it, but I guess it's funny how we have all these platforms that are meant to give us freedom of speech, but it's so people are so free with their speech that. What's free speech anymore?
I don't know. I'd say that's to think that we have free speech, full free speech in this country. Yeah. I don't think that's quite true.
No.
I think that we have kind of in some sense we have free speech. Like everyone has opportunities to say what they say, but once there is an opinion or a thought or maybe even a joke said, that like alarm bells go off and say, no, you can't say that, and the freedom to offend or the freedom to bring things up, like let's just say, for example,
the thing that happened with Boris Johnson.
Well, yeah, and the thing that come up to my mind was like Tommy Robinson. Now, like, he's a bit of an idiot, and I don't hold his opinions to be true, but he has a right to say them. So what's happened in there? That's why there's so much hoo-ha. Like, there's actually been an illegal process by the courts to put him into prison.
Oh.
So this is kind of the story that I heard and I've listened to. It's basically the courts did an unjustful ruling and rushed it through the courts in order so that he could just go to prison, so he can be prosecuted. Now, like, I don't really agree or sort of kind of like agree with many of the things that he says, but the fact that he can say them, I will support that.
Yeah.
Because like I want to see my bigotry out on the table.
Yeah.
I don't want it to kind of like be
behind closed doors and I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, like, you know, the thing. Do you remember like that Question Time with the BNP came on the Question Time?
Yeah,
like the BNP were an authentic organisation. They would, but as soon as you gave them a platform to say their views, they just got decimated.
Yeah.
And so like let's give bigots the choice, the opportunity to say stuff, so then they can be proven wrong.
Exactly, because it's who else? I think what happened? Someone said something. Was it Richard Branson? He might have said something on Twitter about I have the internet. Richard Branson. Twitter. Well, usually that should be enough.
We'll see. He's got enough money to say what he wants in some way. There'll be some backlash, but
it's true.
He does enough money. Like he's got enough money, and I think he does enough like charity stuff that kind of like he can kind of get forgiven for what he does.
Well, I can't remember what he said, but maybe it wasn't him. Sorry, Richard Branson, for bringing up your name.
You got a lawsuit on her.
My opinion means nothing. So the first piece of news I wanted to bring up was like, where's it? So I found this on the Metro, and it was about Superdry co-founder donates £1 million to have the new Brexit referendum.
That's a lot of money. Or maybe it's not for like the co-owner of Superdry.
I mean, not really. I mean,
it's
just
like
chump change for him.
it's like there are billionaires out there. Do you know what I mean? Like these owners of companies, like they're billionaires.
Yeah,
like what's a million? A million's millions.
Yeah. So apparently, the co-founder of the global clothing brand is donating £1 million to the group that is campaigning for the second Brexit referendum. Julian Dunkington, who set up Superdry in 1985, is supporting the people's vote, which is trying to get the government to agree to a new referendum on the final terms of the UK leaving the EU. Basically saying he's putting some money behind the people's voting campaign, because he knows that they genuinely have a chance to turn things around. Mr. Dunkington, who started his company on the market stall in Cheltenham, said he was paying for one of the most detailed public polling exercises ever undertaken by a campaign. He felt this would give remainders confidence when asking for a new vote. He added, "I've got a good instinct for when a mood is going to change, and we're in one of those moments right now." Dunkett suggests that if Brexit had happened 20 years earlier, he may have not been able to make his company a global success. No. It's kind of funny that he mentions that, because I found another thing to do with Brexit that I didn't actually kind of think about until I read the article. I read this article about how if Brexit happens and all the kind of laws and whatever goes into play, like with the agreement, it will not only just affect like trading, it will affect all kinds of trading. Like this includes like medicines and stuff like that. So there's this drug firm called AstraZeneca, and they're making cancer medication. And they're an Anglo-Swedish firm, and they have a headquarters in Cambridge and manufactures. They're treating cancer, heart and lung problems. And basically they were saying that if there's a no deal Brexit, could mean that patients in the EU will not be able to receive medicines from the UK. So
it's
so that they think that at this moment in time they're currently doing
how would they not be able to receive medical if there's a no deal?
Because they wouldn't be able to move across, because there would be stricter laws to because the reason why we can move freely to the EU is because we're in the European Union. But now once we leave, I saw a report the other day that we'll have to pay £6 for our visa just to go to the EU. It's
hard to like kind of like understand it in forms, because like they kind of say like articles will say this like they won't be able to trade. It's like, well, okay, so the EU kind of does trade with all other nations, so it will look different. It's sort of kind of, but nobody knows what it is. And so like there's the no deal is kind of like I feel like every time I've kind of heard about this no deal, it's like nothing's going to happen. It's like, well, that's probably not true, because there will be an agreement. It will just kind of like it will look different, or it will cost more money, or it will, but it's I don't know like I don't even know what we want, like, and what people want, because there's a multitude of different sort of kind of avenues that this can go down, and I
don't know. It's like it's only because all the reports I'm reading, all the articles I'm reading about Theresa May and the deal she's trying to negotiate with the EU is basically, we're leaving the EU, but we still have all the benefits of being inside of the EU, but we're just not part of you guys anymore. So we're just like friends with benefits with the EU. That's basically what she wants. And to the EU, they're just like, what? Why? That doesn't make any sense. Why would we let you leave the EU and have all the benefits of still being in the EU, but you're not in the EU? How does this make any sense? And literally, I've funny enough, to do with Theresa May, another article I read today, that's why I said it was crazy. The article said Theresa May is facing up to 100 Tory MPs who are going to rebel over Brexit. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, either we want to leave the EU, or we're not leaving the EU, and we need to make up our mind as a country. Don't, like, it feels like we had the first referendum, everyone voted for us, the majority voted for us to leave, but that was with no information on what that would mean for us to leave the EU.
There was an assumption that it would be really simple.
Yeah.
Like, but what it's proven to be, like, how if you have like an entwined sort of kind of trade deal and a relationship internationally that covers so much ground, you know, like, how do you not think like there's going to be some backlash and some kind of massive confusion? Like, and it's only going to be over the next decade after the deals happen, is like we're going to be able to see like the costs and benefits. I always tend to sort of kind of think like, how does it affect me immediately? And it's like, well, it doesn't really. And so I probably don't have too much invested in it, but what I do worry about is that there's this need for separation, and that there's this need for like a national identity again, which kind of really confuses me. Like, and there's this feel like, oh, we need to make our own laws, or we need to be independent from the EU.
But why? But like, it doesn't make any sense for me, because the UK we've grown up in, most of us, we've been in the EU. We haven't known anything different. So like, the thing about leaving the EU was about stopping immigration. That was a whole load of bullshit. Like, what? Like, these European people who have come over here and helped our economy, and I understand there's some of them that have come over here and they're kind of taking from our help benefits and stuff like that, our benefit system. They're abusing it. I get that, but there's most of them have come over here. They're helping us. They're doing the jobs that a lot of people don't want to do, but they're complaining that they're coming over here and taking your jobs. What fucking jobs are they taking? Like, if you're employed and you're working and you're making honest money, then what jobs are these people coming over here and taking from you, bruv? If you still got a house and you're surviving, what are these people taking from you immediately for you to be like, we don't want these guys in our country? The people that helped make the EU. Like, not even that. Like, the biggest thing that pisses me off the most is because the UK wouldn't be the UK without fucking immigrants. And that's the biggest thing that pisses me off. You all want to be like, you dislike these immigrants that have come into the country and helped you guys, build you up to be what you are, but then now you just want to be like, oh well, let's make it us. Let's be the UK again. Let's national. But guys, where was that spirit all this time ago when you ripped from other people's countries to make your country?
that's kind of like what the kind of that's what almost like it's like the pride of Britain.
Yeah.
It's like the top of the hierarchy. Yeah. It's kind of like it's like when Trump says like we're gonna win again.
Yeah.
You know, like we're gonna win again.
We're gonna make America great again.
We're gonna make America great again. We're gonna start winning.
Yeah.
I was like. Also, like what winning was sort of kind of like dominating the market and exploiting, and like that's when you had great economic and sort of kind of prosperity.
Exactly.
But like let's face it, like economic and prosperity comes at the detriment of someone else.
Exactly.
Like that's and it's the not wanting to share, and it's the fear of the other, and you know, the more that kind of gets this kind of anxiety and this fear of the other gets piped up, it's like I wouldn't believe like most of the articles I read, because in some sense they come from a biasing.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, I always feel like what is my personal experience of that? Has it ever been hard for me to get a job? Not necessarily, no, because I've known where to learn. I know what I want to do, and I know what I want to go and get. It hasn't necessarily been hard for me to get a job, nor have I had personal experience with seeing how multiculturalism has had a detrimental effect on it. I can see that there are some pockets around the UK that are struggling with sort of that integration and that multiculturalism, but that usually kind of comes from like extreme groups, and that's like either extreme groups from a British nationalist standpoint, like the EDL, which I don't know too much about, but it seemed kind of quite like a kind of an extreme push against multiculturalism. And on the other side of that, like what they're pushing against is this other kind of extremity, which is trying to make the UK Sharia, and that's kind of, and we don't really kind of want to sort of kind of like look. Well, both of these are kind of issues. Like let's try and diffuse it.
Yeah.
No, we kind of. I don't know. It depends what you see as more problematical. Like British people trying to push out and trying to challenge fundamental kind of points on the other side, or people kind of abusing or kind of undermining British values and what British values are. So it's a really hard game to sort of kind of play.
Have you seen Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
The best kind of imagery I can give for what Britain is doing right now is, do you know that scene in Thor Ragnarok when fucking the sister comes back and like she's looking up at the glossy new thing of how like Thor's father made the world and they combined the kingdoms and shit like that, and then she breaks it down, and behind it is the real blood and gory of how it's really happening. And this is kind of the thing. It's like people don't know their history.
Well, I'll tell you what it's a lot like. What it says to me, it's like this denial of the shadow, of this sort of kind of like real repressed history that we have, like. And now we can kind of get to a more, and even if you're trying to push for a more inclusive society, and really, and you're I suppose you would be like, you're liberal, quite left leaning, really kind of looking for equality, and like there's a detriment in that, and you're looking at you're not looking at the blind side of kind of like the things that you support are kind of at detriment of kind of the society, and that might look like. I think we kind of said this yesterday. You know, like the left or like postmodernists wouldn't are screaming at Boris Johnson for his comments about the hijab. But the hijab could well be considered a symbol of the patriarchy and male oppression on women, and it could be. It could be. Depends on your perspective of how you look at it. But that could possibly be a blind side, and you're not really looking at kind of like the full picture.
It's kind of like, I think it comes back to that freedom of speech thing. People because they have this freedom of speech, they don't, a lot of the time, they speak with no filter. And they're like, well, I can say whatever I want, and there will be little to no backlash. Or so what he said, he's like a bit like Kanye West. The words that he said may have not been the correct words. He should never have said that. I do not agree with that. But there could be, like, I don't know the right words to say it, but he could have said it in a different way, is what I mean.
Yeah.
He could have said it in a completely different way, but the thing that...
But he's a clown.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, and that's kind of what we've come to sort of kind of know.
For Boris Johnson,
He's gonna, and I would probably say he probably says that with, in some sense, for political gain.
Yeah.
Because it kind of puts him in the public eye.
Yeah.
And that's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
You know, he might say stupid things, but that he's always said stupid things, and he's always kind of sustained popularity.
Exactly.
He has said so many offensive and
so
so many potentially racist things over the years, and he hasn't lost any political gain.
No one's called for his job.
Everyone just thinks he's a lovable idiot.
Yeah. But the thing about the article is, like, he was actually speaking in support of the hijab in the article. It just so happens that what he said at the end of the article about it is what was publicized the most about. And like you said, for political gain, it would draw people to the article if Boris Johnson said blah, 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 and then someone reads through the whole thing and they're just like, well, actually... He was speaking in support of this thing, but he just happened to say a crazy thing at the end. A lot of people read it, because when I read crazy articles, and it's usually the headline that hooks me in, and I read it, I'm just like, well, actually, it's not actually as bad as crazy as you make it sound on this headline.
But what that's a backlash. Since, like, that's almost the people who would write that article and sort of kind of, or who would make out to say, like, Boris Johnson is acting racist, is people who are trying to take that kind of conversation off the table, and take the conversation about the hijab and about, like, cultural sort of kind of things that are now integrated into British culture off the table. And why should we take important matters off the table?
It shouldn't be taken
just
off.
Because it's either a religious subject, or it's potentially people might get offended.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I think people think that they know everything, and people think that they know how society should be.
Yeah. Everyone has an idea of how in a perfect world life should be, or, you know, but in a perfect world we don't live in a perfect world.
But we can try and work towards that.
We can work towards it, but the way how this world wants to work currently, no one wants to work towards anything. There's small pockets of I want to say minorities, because it is minorities of people that are working towards a better world, but unfortunately, as it always is, the majority always spoil the minority, and it's...
I think it will work the other way around as well. The minorities spoil it for the majority.
Well, yeah.
In some sense, I think it's what I see is almost like this. If you hold an opinion, that I deem to think is wrong, you're an idiot, and I will ridicule you in public, and I'll put you down. Yeah. And that's what I'm kind of seeing a lot of.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Like, and it's what it is. It's kind of, there's this inability to have a civil disagreement and still respect the individual.
Yeah.
So, like, when did sort of kind of like the ideas and person become integrated? Do you know, like, it's kind of like...
It's like, you see it more in celebrities, because, like, for example, when did the fact that, somewhat, but, I mean, if someone makes a good song, why does it matter what sexual orientation they have, say, for example? Why does it matter if someone was, say, gay and they made this amazing song? Why some people will hate the song just because the person's gay? But when did that have real. Why does, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so people so attaching everything to everyone, like, or someone's personal identity onto a song or onto an opinion or onto an idea.
I suppose art is an expression of self, though, in some
is,
sense.
I guess.
So art kind of tends to be an expression of oneself, and
I guess so.
what you do is you kind of, if you're doing songs or you're doing art or you're doing anything it kind of expresses a very much part of yourself.
I guess so.
So like I would understand that, but when ideas and theories and sort of kind of like movements of kind of go, say for example in America, like you've got those people who wear the MAGA hats.
Oh yeah.
People walking around wear the MAGA hats, and like they'll walk around the MAGA hats and people will spit on them. So like what and it's so people are being like, and don't get me wrong, and like I'm not saying that some of those people
shouldn't be spat on.
I don't know them, but the thing is, you don't know who they are. Exactly. You don't know who they are personally. Yeah. And the fact is, like, you are reading
off their idea.
off this symbol. Of this symbol, you are putting a group, your assumption of a group onto an individual.
But yeah, okay, I guess, yeah.
And I'm saying, like, you have no idea who that person is, but yet you will attach your ideas of a group onto that person.
Yeah, but
and you're assuming that person might wear that hat and might be part of the all right or something like that, and feel like you physically have to attack them.
Yeah.
So
that's the kind of point I was trying to make with the thing. Where's
the sort of kind of like, where's the acknowledgement of the person is sacred? Do you know what I mean? Like, and putting an assumption of someone's ideas onto makes the ideas maketh the man. It's like, well, no, like it's the actions.
I guess so, but then their action was to put on the hat.
So it's a hat, though.
But it's what it represents. The hat.
What does it represent?
Make America great again. But I guess no one needs to be spat on to be Make America great again. But it's more of, it's Donald Trump's ideology that he's spouted out, and what that represents is building a wall and all that. So anyone who supports that idea is kind of, I guess everyone is welcome to have their own ideas and have their own opinions and think whatever they think, but like, unfortunately, if you say something that's going to disagree with, or you wear something that symbolizes, it's like if a white guy was walking around with a hat that said nigger on the front, Do
you think it's like that?
Yeah, it's the same kind of ideology. It's like, okay, you got a hat that says nigger, but why are you wearing it? You know what it means, right? Yeah, but I don't. But it's the same kind of thing to me. I guess it's not. You're not taking. I guess the idea is not connected to the man, but the man made the action to put the hat on, knowing what it meant and represented.
I would question whether or not, because if you put that hat on that said the N-word, and I was walking around, like I would say, like, okay, like this is going to offend people, and this is going to offend people, and now like. I'm just picturing myself like, I'll put on a hat, I'm gonna walk down Brixton, and I'm gonna see what happens.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know what? Like, it kind of reminds me of that episode of Family Guy where Peter goes, "I'm gonna go down to the Bronx and I'm gonna shout the N-word," and he comes back with a king, and he's like, with a K, and say, "I am the king of the black people." And it's like, like they respected me for it.
In a perfect world.
But like, that's it. Like, why do we have to have a fear? Like, there's a fear of an expression.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, and don't get me wrong, like I've been saying, like, context is everything.
Exactly.
Like, am I wearing this hat to offend? Am I wearing this hat because I'm a dick? Am I wearing this hat because I'm going to piss people off?
but regardless of whether you're wearing it for any of those reasons, knowing whether if you put that hat on and walk down Brixton, it's going to cause offense. Yeah. Like, people are going to be uproar. Anywhere you walk around and you're wearing that hat, you know that. So why put it on in the first place if you know that? Because you don't care? Then if whatever happens to you is, unfortunately...
But like wearing a hat is not necessarily like that. With wearing a hat that says the N-word isn't an ideology that's being downright kind of racist.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that kind of like showing your support for an idea or an ideology that a lot of people don't agree with isn't in the same boat as being just wearing a hat just to be racist. Because fair enough, some of the ideas and some of the things that hat in some way symbolizes are challenging, and there's some, and they're quite difficult for people to sort of understand. But at the end of the day, Trump supporters of that movement have won the election in America. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to win the election in Brixton if I wear that hat.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? What it is, it's a very separate thing.
Yeah, it's separate but somewhat similar. Just, but I get what you mean. Like, it's in that respect. They did win, but a lot of people dislike the fact that they won. It's like,
and the people who dislike the fact that they won are getting really aggressive and angry, and I get it. I understand. I kind of understand in many respects, but like by not wanting to sit down for a civil discussion and to convince someone that they might be disillusioned or in some cases wrong, just want to spit in their face. How is that going to move towards a world that we want to live in?
Exactly. You're better off trying to have a conversation with this person. You'll know within the first 30 seconds whether you're going to change this person's mind. If you can't change this person's mind, then move on. Yeah. You can't change everyone's mind. Like, I mean, some people...
They're definitely not going to change their mind by spitting in their face.
Exactly. You're just going to make the things so much worse.
Yeah, you're gonna make this boiling pot turn over, and it's going to become a war of ideas rather than a civil discourse. Yeah. Like, and don't get me wrong, there's been like wars over ideas for millennia, but like we live in a world where we're trying to move towards
a better world.
Not a world that kind of dissolves into carnage. You know?
That's the funniest thing. We are trying to move towards a better world, but it doesn't seem like this better world is anywhere on this planet. Maybe we need to go to the moon, go to Mars.
I think
new colonies.
I think your world is the world that you inhabit.
Yeah.
So like, I'll surround myself with people who kind of I want to surround myself with and support with. I work and live a job that I really enjoy, that gives me purpose and sort of kind of like substance. I have my relationships that are virtuous and based on sort of real kind of like truth. But so that's kind of the world I'll inhabit, and that's the world that I'm kind of bringing to other people's worlds, because like the world is sort of kind of, you see the world through your own eyes. So like that's how I'm trying to move forward in space, by seeing people as people, and not through like and just people who have had experiences that might be different to my own. And what that is that's a kind of,
it's like an openness.
It's an openness, and it's an acknowledgement that we are all just kind of trying to get through this world the best we can, and there are no evil thoughts, there are only kind of evil actions. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
a tough one.
It's a tough one, but like, I don't know, it's kind of, I'd like, I think by kind of getting into a shouting match and getting into trying to shout the loudest in order to win is,
it's a losing battle.
It's a losing battle.
Speaking of losing battles, Kevin Spacey. Oh, you're not connected, internet. Oh, thanks. Let's find that problem.
We are in the middle of the countryside, man.
Oh, no. The hotspot is gone, you see. Maybe. Oh no, it's back there. Fantastic, right. Back there. And refresh, buddy. Right, so Kevin Spacey, his latest film has just come out. It's called Billionaire Boys Club. And it made just £98 on opening day.
I wonder how much money they spent on it. I want to know how much have they lost.
So the article has put it into sense for us. It came out. It was shown in 10 cinemas across the country, which means that every cinema earned an average of £9.90 at each location.
So that must be just one ticket.
Yeah, that's not even 2 tickets.
That's like that's one ticket per cinema.
One ticket per cinema.
That's for about $9. That's about right for a cinema ticket.
Just about £100. That's what they pulled in for the opening day. I mean, it was first released on DVD and Amazon Prime, but then it came out at cinema. Don't know why.
It must have done really well on Amazon.
But apparently it's based on a true story, but like as with the funny things, it's based on a true story about a group of rich young men in Los Angeles in the early 1980s who start a club of films named to run a Ponzi scheme. Spacey played a Beverly Hills high roller, Ron Levin, which is not a starring role. Oh, peak.
So their big name, Kevin Spacey, didn't get a main role.
It's not even got the starring role.
Not even got the starring role. He must be getting on a bit.
Well, it's not only that. It's because of the sexual allegation cases that's come out about him.
About him?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't actually know there were any allegations.
Yeah, it says last year that he was accused of the lawnmower. It says last year he was accused of sexually assaulting dozens of young men in the US and the UK since the 1980s. Wow.
Dozens.
And then he's playing a character in a film from the 1980s who started a club of films to run a Ponzi scheme. He doesn't even play a starring role. He's a supporting actor.
Well, you don't really want to be in the public light. Yeah. If you've got that on you,
yeah, it's true.
The last thing you want is to kind of, well, I don't know. It's questionable, really, isn't it? Because kind of like if there's nothing wrong, then you'd kind of just carry on as normal. I don't know. It's complicated. Yeah. It's complicated, but
I mean, he denied being gay for a long time.
These like historical cases they're tricky. Yeah, like they're really tricky. And I mean, like if you got dozens of cases, and like I mean, I'm not trying to say that they're probably not all true, but I'm also not saying that they're probably not all.
Yeah, they must have come from somewhere. I don't know.
There's no smoke without fire, exactly. But like you kind of find like with a lot of these things, I suppose that there might be a few that have that might be true and might not be, but how tricky is that? Like it kind of all started with that whole the digging up the history of people's past
and people coming forward all these years, and it's a great thing, Speaking of people power, this is a great piece of news I saw. Pedestrians wrestle a knife from a teenager after stabbing a man in the street.
From teenagers?
Yeah, there's a brave group of pedestrians were filmed grabbing a knife from a teenager after a man was allegedly stabbed in the street in broad daylight.
Was this in the UK?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was on Green Street in East London. Around 12:50 p.m. yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a video as well. Video.
Oh, so it's right in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
Look at the size of that blade. Crikey.
Yo, man's got a fucking shank, cuz. Oh my days, look at that, look what he's holding. Jesus. Yo. Man just walked up to him and tried to shank him.
Whoa.
Oh, look at that, bro. Yo.
Right. They all look like they just kind of. I don't know. I don't know if they're all pedestrians.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but they definitely.
They just took the size of that blade. That was longer than my forearm.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
This is a closer picture of like the whole thing going down.
So like, they just.
It was obviously this guy here with a strap back.
Yeah.
And they've tried to take the knife away from him.
Oh my lord. So what are you doing? Like just kind of rolling around in the middle of the street with a knife after stabbing people? But I don't know,
man.
I don't know.
Wait.
People are crazy.
Is this another longer video? I think, yeah.
You know.
Do you want to load?
That's a busy road.
Yeah.
Like there's loads of. Mind the following content warning. Some viewers may find the following video upsetting.
This is a problem with knife crime in England. Look at that big fat knife that has just been taken off of this guy. Oh my god.
Oh no, there's
This is
loads of
crazy.
people surrounding. There's like 30 people in the street.
Look at the knife. Look at this knife. Look at this knife. Look at this knife. Look at that knife. That's the knife that's just been taken off the boy. This is a problem in London. This is a big problem.
That's a
Look at this.
That's a
Look at this
oh,
knife.
that's a hunting knife.
Fucking hell.
Look at this knife. This is the knife that's just been taken off of this young boy. This is disgusting, honestly. Wow. Just look at this knife. This guy just grabbed the knife off him.
Wow.
This is crazy. This is London. This boy's 13. This boy is 13 years old and has a big fat knife on him.
13.
Wow.
Busy street. So what is a 30-year-old kid doing with a knife that large? Going to hurt? Well, going to obviously intent to kill, man.
Yeah, that's the only thing you're doing
Knife
with that
crime
kind of
in
knife.
London is getting ridiculous. Honestly, it's so bad. This is my area. This is wow. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I mean, things used to be bad like when I was growing up.
Look at that. That's the boy on the floor. Look at him. He's got blood all over him. Crazy. Knife crime.
Jesus, could just stroll in.
Yeah,
Look
like,
at
well,
this.
you, citizens arrest you, say?
Oh, we don't have to do much. We'll just casually walk over.
Show us a knife. That'll go in the evidence bag.
That's the guy who's been stabbed.
Yeah. Or is that the guy who had the...
This is knife crime in London, you know, it's so crazy. You're just like, what the hell?
That's a kid, man.
Out of the road, please! Move out of the way,
been stabbed.
please!
No, this guy's been arrested.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, he's the guy that's been arrested.
Oh.
Out the road, please, guys! Out the road!
Wow. This is the London that everybody wants to come to. There's problems here. Big, big problems. This isn't a high street where kids are shopping. families there, and they just found a big fat knife. Someone's just been stabbed right in front of my eyes. That is just crazy. London's just something else, honestly. I don't even know what to say.
London is something
Madness.
else.
It's something else.
Absolutely madness.
It is absolutely madness.
Like, it's hard to think of like what's going through these young kids' minds.
I know.
You know
What drives you to? I don't know. I maybe because I've never really been involved in that world, or that I don't know what would make you want to bring anything on you for protection, especially in London. It's not like we live in America and there's guns and
But
shit.
like, I don't think people carry knives on them for protection. I think like most of the time it's carrying a knife with intent.
Yeah.
Intent.
Yeah, you must be.
It's
yeah.
like you're not gonna like. You could say like, oh, I carry a knife with me just in case I get up to something. But even that's kind of like you.
Yeah.
If you find yourself in a situation, you're prepared to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, is this kind of gang culture? Is this kind of like what? Is this individual squabbles?
Yeah,
And like, or is this like you carry a knife on you, and if you get yourself into an argument,
You must know that you're willing to use this knife. Otherwise, why carry it? Because either you're going to use it, or the person who you're attacking is going to find it and use it on you. So, I don't know. So it was later confirmed that a 16-year-old male has been arrested on suspicion of GBH. A spokesperson said police in Newham were called to Green Street E13 at 12:50 on Saturday the 18th of August following a report of a fight. Officers attended and found a man in his 20s suffering from a stab wound to the hand. He has been taken by London Ambulance Service to hospital for treatment for his injuries, but it's not life-threatening. A 16-year-old male has been arrested on suspicion of GBH and taken to East London Police Station for questioning. The inquiry continues.
but how many of those? How many instances where it goes? How many times do we not hear that like? Loads of kids. We only hear on the news or articles like this is this has been caught on video. This is in the middle of the day, and people know about it, right? Okay, so yeah, we can have a discussion about it, and we can see videos of it. And then on the news, there'll be like 13 stabbings happen in the space of 3 hours in London.
Yeah,
and that's sensational. So what's to say that the stuff that we don't hear happens on a daily basis?
Yeah, I know.
Like it feels as if there's a big problem.
Yeah,
like,
it does. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of these recently. There's literally down the side here, bro. There's another one. Schoolboy 15 charged over stabbing of 4 teenagers, including a boy who was disemboweled. Disemboweled, bro. This happened in Camberwell. Like.
Okay, like young men have always had the capacity to be aggressive. Like as men, like we have the capability to be aggressive,
yes, of
and
course.
to act it out. But it's surprising how easy it is for someone to feel it's okay to cause harm to people, like, and to use deadly force. Like it's one thing to use your fists and one thing to use your body as it is, and you know, to cause harm in that way, and to fight,
settle an agreement with your own fists. Okay,
like if men have a disagreement and have an argument, there has always been the possibility for violence, and that's always been the undertone. Like if we have a discourse and we get to that point,
You want to go, bro?
Like there is a threat of violence, right, and that's always been the way it is. But like what we've kind of I feel like what we've got on our hands is like there's a disagreement, like, and I think what's coming to my mind, it's like it's all about respect, and it's all about I don't know, I wasn't there, but like I kind of in my head it feels like you've disrespected me and I'm going to hurt you for that. And I'm going to use deadly force to show you and everybody that I'm a threat and I need to be respected and think that I'm dangerous. Because being dangerous and being feared to these young men is a form of respect. That's what's kind of come into my mind.
That's what it feels like, and a lot of people, or maybe young men, they don't understand that. When I was growing up, I was always told that respect is earned. You can't just make someone respect you. You have to earn that respect from that person, and then you gain respect from people. That's the only way you get respect. You can't just scare people into kind of believing your ideology. Although it's funny that you should say that, because that's what the government do to us all the time, and you kind of think that it's kind of like a thing where people are just learning from what they see already happening. So the government bully and push and bore, and they scare us into making rash, crazy decisions that work into their favor, and that works because they're still running the country and things are still, like, you know what I mean? So if it works for them, why can't it work for me? Why can't I just demand respect and gain it? And maybe that's what they see, because
I see like these young men feeling like is an they're acting out because they are missing something in their life, and for what it feels to me is a real sense of purposeful duty, and purpose and belonging, and you know, like if you were in service of your community, whatever, you know, you would want, maybe if the art community that you saw that you wanted to live in was one where people work together and we're coexisting and we're supporting each other, that's great. You would kind of think, okay, like I'm part of this and I'm contributing to that. Whereas I feel like there's a complete detachment. There's a complete detachment from like feeling belonging. They've kind of been let down in so many ways. What they're finding is maybe community in other young men who want to incite violence, who want to get control or get respect by fear, and by using fear. And I think that they look at, and I think they probably would look at role models in their community who are respected through fear, and thinking that's how they've got respect, by doing these things and running this sort of behaviour. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it better. And that's it. And that, you know, like if you're going to look at your role model, you're going to be like, okay, that's what I aspire. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it better. And this is kind of how we see things progressively get worse, by people are willing to use deadly force,
willing to take it the extra step further, but then their competitor may not be able to do, or maybe not be willing to do. So obviously, like you said, they're gonna do it better. So how is in the past people would just settle disputes with a fist fight? I knocked you out. Alright, cool. You win. That's sorted. Nowadays, that's not good enough for us.
It's a one-upmanship. It's a one-upmanship. It's a game. It's sort of like, right, you kind of like you've disrespected me by show me up in this way. You've embarrassed me in front of my friends. You've made me look weak and vulnerable. I can't be having that. I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna stab you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna embarrass you. I'm gonna make you see. I'm gonna make you as vulnerable as you made me feel. And it's like that. It's kind of like there's a complete disregard for the humanity of the individual. And what kind of springing to my mind is, I think we're always going to have a society that has violence in it, because that kind of what comes from hierarchy and having a system of sort of kind of competence and trying to win the game essentially. But like we can, where do you as a society interject? Like where do you interject, and what can you do to sort of show these young men or these young people that
it's not too late.
It's not too late, or like
that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It feels like we've got to that point where we're seeing all this happening, and people are just like, well, why isn't something being done? Like what? But like you were saying yesterday, with all the fucking cuts that's been happening around everywhere. So there's been cuts for policing services. So that means and also there's been cuts in the creative after school services with like youth clubs and clubs like that. So if you're taking that away from people for the clubs for where I would go after school, now I can't go to that club. Where do you think I'm gonna go? Onto the streets. All right, so me and my friends are now rolling on the streets, but there's nothing to do on the streets. But then I see Tyrone, and he's selling drugs, and he's got these all the top trainers, and I'm like, oh, Tyrone, how did you get that? Well, bro, if you want to do this, then you can do that. And then two twos, nice little Oliver, when he first entered the streets and he was just roaming with his friends, just having fun, now wants to have fun and make money and emulate this Tyrone character who's got all the best gadgets and the best shoes and whatever, and he's got the girls as well, because that's another thing that drive guys crazy. How did you get that girl? I want a girl like that, you know. And women like men who sit on the top of their hierarchy, exactly, you know, like, and that's what's, you know, whatever the hierarchy system is, like women who kind of are in that community will look at people on the top of that, on the top of that pyramid of competence hierarchy, and kind of go, like, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what kind of I want to be, you know. Yeah. So it's if you're taking away from the what is the word, recreational things that young people could be doing after schools, and you're taking that away, and then you're also cutting the police budgets and stuff like that, and then you're also wondering, like, why is there a spike in knife crime? Why are all these young men acting out? What don't they have things to do in the evenings? Oh God, go get a job. No, you need to give people like things to do. Like I was telling you yesterday, I was at the Mind Over Matter event, and they were making money for Sound School or Sound City. I can't remember the name of the college, but it was a college that was especially for people in the music industry, and they want helping them get into it. So they were basically saying that their funding has just now been cut, and their colleges had to close down, and it's just, well, that now people don't have things creatively. That creative things is the thing that kind of, I don't know, like, I can't explain it. What's the, like, it's a faucet? That's not the word. An avenue? That's not the word. It's all of these similar words, but it's like a way you can kind of... An outlet. Outlet, that's the one. Thank you. I was going through the index, I was going through the whole like dictionary. I was like, where's these words? That wasn't even my next word. Yeah, it's an outlet, and if you take away an outlet, then you're kind of just putting people in boxes, and then people don't like being in boxes, so they just want to break out.
Well, people want choice. People want like avenue of things to go do, and they want choice to be able to have a self-expression.
Yeah.
You know, and once you kind of minimize the movability of people to express themselves, whether that be sport, whether that be art, or whether that be for education, or like and going into interests, like you're going to be like, well, there's nothing for me.
Exactly.
Like, so like, and if there's nothing for me to feel like connected to and feel purposeful that I can go and kind of involve myself with, you're going to kind of get into the habit, you're going to get into feeling like, oh, well, I need to feel better about myself in other ways.
Yeah.
And usually, like you were saying, like, well, I want to, get the best girl, I want to get the best trainers, I want to get the best phone, and like, because you think that's going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
And like, how do you do that? How do you get those things that you inevitably think that are going to make you feel better? It's by making money.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make money, if you feel like, well, this whole system's going to let me down, I'm going to go against the system, and I'm going to make money in illegitimate ways.
Exactly.
Because it's easy. It's
written out to easier than working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, no money is promised in that world.
No.
Well, I don't know.
I
mean, I know that by working 9 to 5, I know I'm getting paid. I know I'm getting a paycheck every week or every month. I know I'm getting paid.
Yeah. Everyone kind of want to work for themselves and work on their own terms.
Yeah.
Like if you're working for someone and you're getting a paycheck and someone's paying you, you have to be responsible.
Yeah.
You have to kind of like be dutiful to the person that employs you, and that's a whole nother thing, because then you've kind of got to, take directions and take advice, and a lot of people
want to just get something for nothing.
Just want to get something, or get the most out of life doing the most little as possible.
Yeah.
And fair enough, don't get me wrong, like I'd like to do a little less and I'd like to get a little more, but what I've found is actually by having a livelihood that I'm passionate about and actually sort of kind of really enjoy and really wake up in the morning and happy to go and do, then I don't mind. Like, I might get paid a little less, but I'm actually happy. I'm actually like, there's no dragging myself out of bed in the morning, and that's it. But it's you spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week doing something. It has an effect on your brain. It has an effect on your body. So why not make that work for you? I
mean, I don't hate it, but I mean, like, I've got this because I like to do a list. I like kind of, sometimes I do random facts, but this week because I found a thing about travel influencers.
Okay.
And this is 10 secrets about travel influencers that they don't want you to know about.
Who doesn't want you to know about
The
them?
travel influencers.
Who's hiding this information? It's a conspiracy.
So number 1 is they have no real home base. So like there's an influencer her name is Alyssa Ramos, and she runs like 2 Instagram things where one of them she does her vlog and everything like that, and the other one she does behind the scenes of what it's actually like to be a travel vlogger. And she says when she's traveling, she typically like takes one suitcase away with her, and she leaves the rest of her stuff in a storage unit while she's traveling around. And she tends to get like hotels or Airbnbs for like 2 weeks at a time. But whenever she's traveling, like most of the time she's traveling around Airbnb to Airbnb and taking pictures. And the second one is that something that probably most of us know, that is they edit the fuck out their pictures.
Yo, fuck.
Like someone.
I've never seen a filter like that in
Yeah.
real life.
Ramos says that she spends sometimes up to 30 minutes editing her pictures.
30 minutes. Well, for each picture? Or...
Yeah, like she'll take it, edit it on Adobe Lightroom for about 30 minutes, and then send it back over to her phone to upload to Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3 is they make 6-figure incomes.
Well, like, you got to pay for those Airbnbs somehow, haven't you?
But most influencers make money through like freebies or referrals or what's it, affiliate marketing.
Yeah, because what they want is
YouTube
if they're
videos,
popular.
blogs.
Well, if they're popular, retailers are going to want their stuff to be seen, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, so it's the same with sportsmen. Like if you're being followed and if you're being watched and you're liked by people, they're going to want to give you stuff. So they can be seen wearing their things.
They can make up to or over $500,000 dollars a year.
For travelling the world, taking a few pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, if you're going to take pictures of yourself doing it as well, I think you have to be some level of sort of kind of have some level of appeal as well.
Yeah. Number 4 is their trips are not vacations. Basically, obviously, like you said, they get freebies. Most of them are being, like, they're on locations or they've been paid for the opportunity to fly over to this country to take pictures and have their opinions shared because they know that loads of people are gonna go there or buy the clothes that they're wearing because they're wearing it. Number 5 is they don't wake up at the crack of dawn to take photos. Of course not. They don't.
I suppose.
They
do
wake up at the crack of dawn to take photos. They do.
It's probably a good sunrise somewhere.
From about 5:30, some people.
I reckon some of those will stay up all night. A bit shaky on the camera.
Number 6 is they rarely foot the bill for clothing that they appear in what they're wearing.
Well, yeah, it's the same with like the
holidays.
Holidays, yeah. They people give them money to wear their stuff,
and then they know that people are gonna buy that shit. Number 7 is they pack and hoard photo props.
Props. I like a tripod and like lenses and
or props as in no as in stuff to make a scene look better.
Oh yes. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, because of course you would carry a tripod and lenses around with you. But yeah, so like
candles or lights or flowers and shit like that. The scene wasn't just like that. She set it up like they've set it up like that so they can make a buck. Number 8, shit happens. They don't just post about it. What? They don't just post about it? What does this mean? There's lots of sleepless nights, jet lag, running through airports, losing stuff, hauling 60-pound suitcases through steeps. Basically, they have to run and do shit, to go on their free holidays.
Because they have to work.
Yeah.
It's not a vacation.
Basically.
So like these people who are earning 50k a year, they're not working. They're just on vacation. Just like they've got. I suppose if you're making that much money, you can buy some Sherpas, didn't you, to carry your stuff around for you. But I don't know. I think. Yeah, it'd be nice, but like you've also got everything. You've got pros and cons with, haven't you?
Yeah. Like
you get to go to beautiful locations and stay in top hotels, and people give you free money, but you have to carry a suitcase.
Oh dear.
Oh no! And you have to run through a hotel. You have to run through to hotels and catch planes.
Oh my.
Oh God! Like I feel. You know what? They can keep that job.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for me.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It seems like a lot of work. I feel like I'm glad that I know their secrets now, though.
Yeah. So am I. Like, wake up early, take photos,
spend at least 30 minutes editing them.
Yeah, but not on the Instagram app.
No.
Take your photo and then edit it on another app, and then bring it back to Instagram and make it look like you edited it on Instagram.
Make sure you remember those candles and and things
or
that
your props.
absolutely.
You need to make the scene look nice, set the scene for the picture that you're gonna take. Sometimes, you know, the wind might blow the flowers over, and it's like,
oh no. See, another real setback of the job. Mother Nature.
I was like, fucking wind.
Oh no. I knew I shouldn't have come to Siberia.
Not in the winter.
Not in the winter.
But it was free.
And I got this really nice jacket.
That was also free, and I just have to wear it and take a couple of pictures.
Oh god, well, I better go get my first class flight back to Jamaica.
Oh man.
Oh god, I hate Jamaica.
I hate my life. Traveling.
Oh.
Where am I going after Jamaica? Bahamas, you say?
Oh no. God blimey, I just want a day off.
Just one day off. Can't I just go back to my home? No.
I just want to go back to Baltimore.
Just one day in Baltimore. But yeah, man. I mean, it's been a good show. Do you got anything else to talk about or add?
No, man. I'm really want to go to Baltimore now.
I really want to go to America. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this. Yeah, it's been a good chat.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
So thank you for listening, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of My Opinion Means Nothing. If you haven't, then more for you for sat at home and listening for 1 hour and 15 minutes. You idiots. You fucking idiots. Like, you listened until the end. You really hate it that much? Nah, you loved it. But, guys, it's the end, and any last words? Last remarks?
Oh, just thanks for having me, man.
Anything to plug?
To plug? No, I've got. I live a quiet life in the countryside, man. I go to work. I wake up. I make some nice tea.
Yes, you do. You make some nice tea. Anyway, well, goodbye, guys. Ben, bye.
See you later, man. See you later.